Okay, we are going to continue looking some special brushes very interesting that Blender offered to us, that are the cloth brushes. I'm going to select cloth, and the first thing we can see is that new circles appear around the brush. Those circles are the area of effect of this brush. So everything that is inside the white circle is the area that is going to be simulated, because this brush is going to create a simulation. By default, the brush is in drag, so we're going to make a stroke to let you see. For first, let's check the resolution I have. This is a cube with 6 levels of subdivision, and if we make the stroke, we are going to create this. And this is simulating everything inside the white circle, like if I were drawing the cloth. I'm going to soften everything and check the result. I'm going to make this brush bigger to put all the sphere into a simulation, and let's drag again. There it is. And the truth is that the brush is very interesting. It could be super helpful, but it is quite complicated to use. So it requires some practice to understand how it works. I personally don't use this brush because my work is more stylized, so this is not so helpful for me, but the brush is in fact very interesting and pretty fun to use. Well, I will press Ctrl C, and there are more options here in the formation. For example, we have push, that is to push the geometry simulating the cloth. I will press Ctrl, and this is the result inverted. This is like applying some pressure in the initial area. Here I have also the pinch brush, that is to push everything into the same point in the middle. I will drag here, and as you can see, it is like pushing everything to this point, like creating some tension. We also have pinch perpendicular, and this is like to push the cloth into the same point, but in the direction in where I put the stroke. This is like doing it in the direction of the stroke. I will press Ctrl C. We also have inflate, that is pretty self-explanatory. We also have grab, and this brush is to take a piece of the surface and displace it, but I had bad experiences with the brush because it is deforming the geometry too much in unnatural ways, like leaving the simulation. As you can see, we can create these weird artifacts in the surface with some unrealistic results, so I don't really like this brush. We also have expand to inflate the surface, and finally we have the snake hook. I'm going to press several times here, but it is not working apparently. I don't really have too much experience with these brushes because, as I said, they are quite complicated to use. Well, let's continue now with this icon we have here, that is the cloth filter. And the cloth filter, what it does is to apply a simulation in all the geometry. If I drag here, you can see that it starts falling. I'm going to put the frontal view. I will drag again, and what is happening here is that it is applying the gravity. Here I will press, and the sphere begin to fall. We still can't see any simulation because this sphere is falling into the void. This is like a cloth sphere in the void, so we are not going to notice anything. So I will create a mask right here. Let's select again the filter, and I will drag again, and you can see a simulation. The simulation is going to happen in all the areas except in the masked areas. I will do it again, and this is starting looking very weird, too deformed. This is a very weird result. It is simulating the cloth but without a limit, so we get these results. By default it is in gravity, but we also have inflate to inflate these areas, of course. We also can use expand to make it bigger, but these also get some very weird results. We can soften everything. And I think this can be useful in some cases actually. We also have the pinch brush to push all the geometry in the position of the cursor. I will do it again here. And finally, we have the scale to make it bigger. Okay, here we have one option that is use collisions. I'm going to press M and clean the mask. We have the option use collision, where it is in the mesh, and what is going to happen is that this object is going to interact with other objects that also have collisions. So I'm going to object mode. I will create here one more sphere. I will put it here, and I will add for this sphere a collision right here. I'm going to select again the first sphere, and in school mode I'm going to no, we need to change it to gravity, and I will drag the sphere, and the sphere is going to be interacting with a new object. You can see the result of the simulation. We can soften it with the smooth brush, and with these tools we can create very interesting results. This tool can be useful, for example, when we are creating a character and we want to put in a code or any kind of cloth accessory. And well, these are the cloth brushes and the cloth filter, and let's continue now with the mesh filter. The mesh filter, what it does is to apply one of these operations to all the geometry I have active. I'm going to make some strokes over here. We're going to damage a little this geometry to show you the things we can do with this filter. And well, let's select again the mesh filter, and if it is in inflate, it is going to inflate the geometry, obviously. This can work also with masks. If we want to inflate some specific area, we can mask it and then use the mesh filter. I will clean the mask. We also have to scale the model. We have to smooth all the surface to make it smoother. We have random that is going to create a noise over all the geometry. We also have relax that is going to try that all the polygons in the geometry becomes into regular quads and try to maintain the shape of the model. It is not very perceptible, but if we activate the mesh, we can see that it is trying to relax all the topology. Then we have surface smooth, that is to soften all the surface without modifying the main shape of the model. This is very helpful to polish the surface of sculptures without damaging the silhouette. We also have sharpen, and this is going to sharp the edges. You can see that it is trying to sharp all the borders. We also have this option to improve the details to make them more intense. And finally this one, that is to use it with the multi-resolution modifier, but we are not going to using it right now. And well, those are all the tools we have available in Blender for the cloth brush, the cloth filter, and the mesh filter.